Hey guys, David here with a new review, and I'm very excited for this review because it's on Ghost in the Shell. Not because I care about the movie, because I've never seen the original, so I have no emotional ties to it, but because this marks the end. I made it. Me and my girlfriend made it. We made it to the end of March. We went through the entirety of March movie madness. We saw every single big blockbuster movie that was coming out in every single weekend of March. So I hold that to high regard. I think that's pretty fucking awesome, and I think that I achieved some kind of accomplishment here. I know it's not the biggest accomplishment. I know that this is not gonna put me forward in life, but god damn it, it's awesome that we managed to do this, and I think it's cool. All right, so give me some credit. Anyways, Ghost in the Shell. Really quick review because, like I just said, I didn't see the original. I am actually a non-fan. Well, not to say that I'm not a fan because I don't hate it, because I really like this concept. I really like the themes about robotics and what blurs the line between man and machine. And I've always enjoyed that prospect. I've always enjoyed seeing that premise and being executed very well. So Ghost in the Shell did capture my interest when I saw the trailers, and even harkening back to that original anime, I'm like, yeah, that looks pretty cool, but I never caught it. I never watched it. I never got invested into it, and I never obviously didn't see it when it originally came out, so I don't have that strong bond to it like other people do that are humongous fans of that anime, and that definitely got worked up with the casting choice and the controversy behind it. So I went into the movie much more open-minded because I didn't have any kind of reservations. So I walked in expecting a very good movie about this human that was then transformed into some kind of cybernetic organism that's kind of part human, part machine, with like a synthetic body, where they kind of have some human characteristics, but on the inside they're mostly robot, and we live in this future where that line is kind of being blurred. And she works under this kind of sanctioned organization that's not fully police, not part, but it is funded by the government, called Section 9, and it's up to her to kind of figure out this conspiracy of who's trying to kill the heads of this company called Hanka Robotics, which are headlining these robots, and they're kind of revolutionizing the industry. But there's this bigger plot that even the main character, Major, played by Scarlett Johansson, does not know about. And I know it's based off of a 1995 anime film, so this traces back literally almost 22 years ago. But going into this movie, there's no denying that there's some things that I've kind of seen before since then, because even though I didn't watch that original, I've seen so many derivatives of this material that were probably inspired by it. Like, the very first thing that came to mind when I saw this was Deus Ex, the video game franchise. Deus Ex Human Revolution and Mankind Divided, which I haven't played, but it touches upon those same themes. And I've always loved those themes, not only within the video game industry, but also within movies like iRobot. What makes something sentient? What gives something feelings and a soul? And where can you kind of separate the difference between what makes up a machine and what makes up human, which is why I really want to watch Westworld, but HBO is a bitch when it comes to that, so I either have to fork up the money or just wait until hopefully it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray and catch that. But I love that kind of stuff. I love that genre, and I love those themes. So Ghost in the Shell really did cater to me. Watching the movie, those themes are still kept fully intact. Watching throughout the movie, it still begs those questions, and it still brings them up, and it doesn't ignore them. It doesn't exchange it for like cheap explosions and things that just pander to audiences. So not only do I have to give the writers credit for that, but also to Rupert Sanders, who directed this. This is the same guy who directed Snow White and the Huntsman, and he's come a long way, because that movie was very droll and just kind of bland. This movie really does pop with its visuals, because it's really awesome to witness this this city that I think it's in China or Japan, or I think it's Japan, I don't know, and kind of take that how you will, whether or not that's a little bit of altercation from the original source material, because trust me, I'll get to that later on. But this city really does feel alive and really feels part of this future that you kind of want to live in, but at the same time it's kind of weird. But still, there's no way to deny that this is a visual statement to behold, because there's so many holograms and the art design, and there's a very likely chance that some of those shots were lifted from the anime, and the anime is known to be very revolutionary with its blend of CG animation with 2D animation, because it's back from the 90s, so they couldn't fully CG the entire thing, but a lot of people give that movie credit for that. This movie is very faithful to those visuals, because you got so many beautiful shots that at points I'm like, man, I'm watching this in a regular theater, but this would have been awesome in IMAX. But eventually I'm reminded why I did not pay that extra $20. The story, as much as I love the themes about robotics and what makes someone human and what essence makes up the soul and how you can kind of destroy the soul, and it's something that I still took away from this movie, the overall actual plot of getting from point A to point B about Major killing this one person, it's alright. I don't think it's terrible, but it's something that has been done way better in the past. In fact, even though I haven't seen the original, I'm pretty sure that original captured it much better. But also, it's the tone that just didn't set well with me, because this movie is tremendously serious, like overly serious. With a world like this that's just brimming with color and brimming with visuals that are very captivating, you also need to have characters that are just as captivating to inhabit that world. And these characters aren't necessarily the best. They're not the worst, but they really needed some extra dimension, because there's a lot of them that I like. Scarlett Johansson, I liked her as Major, and a lot of people are saying that she kind of sleptwalked through the movie. I kind of disagree with that. There's moments where I felt her pain. I felt her loneliness, because she is the first of her kind of being this half human, half robot type of thing. In fact, the majority of her is robot. It's only her brain that's actually human. So I felt for her in that sense, but there could have been something else added to her character that could have maybe driven that emotional punch a little bit further. And she also has her friend Bateau, something like that, the guy with the blonde hair that eventually gets those robotic eyes. He was cool and he was really badass, but I felt like something could have been added, something with color, something with personality, because there's moments where this character and maybe some other handful of characters crack jokes, and even when they crack jokes, they're super serious, and I'm like, you're just taking the life out of this joke, and I can't laugh with you with it. It also expands to the rest of Major's team, who I think could have been some really great personalities to kind of bring in not only some humor but also some heart, and it just wasn't there, which is ironic because this is a movie about this robot finding some heart, and yet there really isn't that much within it except for the visuals. Even within the action sequences, which were kind of half and half for me. Some were kind of cool and were like, ooh, like that was actually rather neat, especially the ending one, which was neat on a visual scale, but walking out of the theater, I've overheard some folks that were catching that 7 o'clock Thursday showing who watched the original and were like, yep, that was not in there. That was a totally Hollywood made thing. And I can't exactly blame them, because I looked at it and I'm like, yeah, there's something about this. I've never seen the original, and even I can tell that was not in there. But then there were other action sequences where kind of meh, because the best example that I can think of is that there's one scene where there's like a little bit of a shootout between these two characters and then the rest of Major's team, and one guy gets gunned down. It's not a spoiler, it's a random guy, you don't even know him. This dude gets gunned down, and yet the camera lingers on his body after getting shot just a half a second too long. Just a half a second too long, to where you think that maybe the character who shot him is going to say like a one-liner, something witty, something to kind of bring in that humor, or something else is going to happen. And yet it doesn't. We just cut away to like the next part of the set piece, and I'm like, well, that was kind of awkward. And moments like that would start to kind of infest the movie, where you're supposed to have something snappy to kind of bring this pacing along, and the movie's not even that long. It's an hour and 45 minutes. It's shorter than what I was expecting it to be, and yet it still had its moments where I'm like, oh, this is taking its time. Although I have to give props to my man, the boss. I can't remember his name, but he was looking like Old Man Logan with his hair. He had some straight up Wolverine hair. And I have to give him props, because for the majority of the movie, he looked like he was sleepwalking through it. And I was like, I don't know about this guy. But he has a major surprise towards the end of the movie where I'm like, okay, you're a badass. And I guess that's the perfect segue to lead into the ending. I'm not going to get too much into it because I want to avoid spoilers. But there is a twist within this movie that, from what I believe, is also a twist in the original. And it's a twist that, you know, it really does bring that emotional punch. Except here, oh, buddy, oh, they did something that's going to piss off a shit ton of people. It's going to piss off a lot of people. I didn't get pissed off because, like I said, I don't have that emotional investment to the original. But even then, I'm like, guys, come on, don't do this. Don't do that. I feel dirty watching this. I feel guilty watching this be executed. And I'm not going to boycott the movie necessarily. I didn't get angered, but I can definitely see the anger behind this choice, this stylized choice on the plot twist of the original. And yeah, you know, if you feel the need to boycott, I am not going to stop you. That's all I'm going to say about that. I'll end with this. If I was offered this movie for free on IMAX, I would definitely catch it a second time. But having to pay, I would say that I could have probably waited this movie to catch it on Redbox, but even then, you will be missing out on some of the visuals that are kind of necessary to watch on the big screen, because there's some genuinely great moments to kind of behold with your eyes, especially with the way they kind of illustrate some of the robotics, especially that geisha robot. That's really, really cool. It's a really good set piece towards the beginning of the movie, but even further, they show how you kind of hack these robots, and the way it's illustrated, it's very awesome and very cool to kind of witness. And there are still a lot to chew on thematically that I'm a huge fan of, but if you're not a huge fan of that, there's not going to be a whole lot there left for you to kind of digest, because like I said, that plot moves at a pace that's a little too serious to where you're like, come on guys, crack a smile, you know, it kind of get along. I really need this chemistry to kind of flourish so that I can get behind this team, so that later on when shoes start to drop and you bring in that character who's kind of pulling the strings from behind the scenes, and then you got a little meetup, and then you kind of start to see the plot then unfold into all these various twists, you need to be emotionally invested, because then you're going to feel for those characters, and I didn't really feel a whole lot. And again, a movie about a robot that's learning to feel, to become human, it's not as human as you would expect it to be. So I'm going to be giving Ghost in the Shell a very, very high 6 out of 10. It's okay, but I'm not going to say I will catch it again, since I've already witnessed it the first time. So sound off in the comments. If you have seen Ghost in the Shell, let me know what you guys thought of the movie. Have you seen the original, and now having seen the new live action adaptation, do you think it was faithful? Do you think that they did your homegirl wrong with certain things within this movie? Or do you think that, hey, we should just let it go and just deal with what we got? Please post all of your feedback in the comments below. Make sure you like and share, subscribe, all that fun jazz. I know some of you guys don't like hearing this. And hopefully within the next couple of days or so, you will see my review on the 3rd episode of Telltale's The Walking Dead video game. I recently finally played it. I was a little bit behind on it because I had some stuff to do. I was busy, scheduling conflicts, whatever. So I finally caught up with that, and hopefully I'll bring you guys my review within the next coming days. Until then, thank you guys so much for watching. Follow me on Twitter and on Instagram at DarkSpiderDavid, and I will see you all very, very soon. Take care.